What's going on, guys? I am Kevin Muller, the movie guy for Cinephellas, and I am back with another segment of Seven with Kevin. For my first film, I start way at the bottom. This movie is 20 steps back from everything else on this list. That's how bad it is. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Mafia Mama. And let me tell you something, I can't even imagine how much worse this movie would have been without Toni Collette. And even with Toni Collette in this movie, she was playing a character that is so irritating, so annoying. You just don't like this person. And that's not a jab against Collette because Toni Collette can act, but the script is terrible. The direction is awful. Everything about this movie sucks. And what is this movie about? This movie is about Kristen, played by Toni Collette, who finds out she has just given the power to a Italian mob over in Italy. So we are presented with a fish out of water story. As she goes to Italy, as she tries to fit in, as she tries not to be the obnoxious and stupid American, but she fails at that. The comedy is forced, the comedy is not funny, and it's just very, very poorly done movie by Catherine Hardwicke, who, she's a good director. She gave us 2003's 13. Everyone has a bad one on their resume, but unfortunately, this one really, really sucks, and I'm going to give this one out of five, and I promise you that you're probably going to see this movie on my worst of 2023 list. My second one is Hypnotic. And you know what I basically took away from this film the most is that we should thank the stars and anything that you believe in, that we have Christopher Nolan, and that Christopher Nolan is very good at his job, because this seems like a movie that Christopher Nolan would conceive. It is about a government sector full of hypnotists who use their powers to influence decisions, basically change the course of history. They can use the power to make you see stuff that is not there. Cool premise. And, in between this mess is Ben Affleck, who is so stiff in this movie. I don't know what's going on with him. He is a good actor. He had directed plenty of good actors, but he just seems very lazy here. It just seems like a movie that it feels like this is his first movie. Like, that's how stiff he is here. The idea is there, but unfortunately, the execution isn't. Robert Rodriguez, who I love, and I love From Dusk Till Dawn, I love Desperado. He's just in over his head here, and unfortunately, it's a great idea that he completely fails. And I'm going to give this one 2 out of 5. My next film is an A24 film. No, it isn't filled with creatures, killers, or anything of the supernatural. No, far more scary and far more worse. White upper class um, snooty New Yorkers. And now here you have Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who is always reliable, and she is very good in this movie. She plays an author who finds out that her husband is not a fan of her new novel, even though he said he liked it. It's a story about white lies and how they hurt people and why we tell it. Nicole Hofstetter, who is the director and writer of this movie, she does have a few interesting things to say about the concept of a white lie, but these characters are just very unpleasant. They're not fun to watch. They're flawed to the point of being annoying. I know Woody Allen has done this for 50 years of his career, but he is much better at being, I guess, charming with his writing and direction. I know A24, who produced this film, is trying to expand their horizons about what they produce. I really think they could have picked a better script, because this one's just kind of a drag. It's not terrible. It's not Mafia Mama, but it is this, it's a drag. And there is talent here, but it's just not being utilized well. And I'm going to give this one 2.5 out of 5 hair pieces. I can't believe that this basic romantic comedy wasn't as god awful as I thought it was going to be. I'm talking about Love Again. The main drawer here is Celine Dion. This is a love letter to her. The characters love the music. The songs inspire hope and love within the characters, and she is an actual character in this movie. It's not a cameo. She is like a character here. She influences the decisions of a certain character. I won't say who, but Prinka Chopper Jonas and Sam Heughan are typical romantic leads. They're cute, they're naive, and they're love struck. Also, Russell Tovey, who was in American Horror Story New York, and most recently Feud, the Capote versus the Swans, where he played kind of dark roles, especially in Capote versus the Swan, where he kind of beats the shit out of Capote. Here, he's able to spread his comedic wings, and I actually enjoyed him. He actually made me laugh a couple of times, and I hope he actually stays in this genre because he does provide a very nice comedic energy. It This movie is completely light on its feet, no big surprises. You can probably predict where it's going, but it's a nice story. And maybe because this movie is something I watched right after Mafia Mama, maybe I was a little less hard on it. But with that, I am going to give this one 3 hair pieces out of 5. Out of the 7 films here, this one is the most interesting. This was a film I didn't really know much about. I did see the trailers, but I kind of went on my phone in the theater and I kind of like, it looks okay, it looks typical. Um, it's a story of a young Middle Eastern girl who yearns to be a stunt performer. That's our whole drive. But it's also a story about religion, martial arts, study of her culture, um, marriage, and a lot more. This is not a movie I kind of want to talk about in full because I think, like me, if you go into it knowing little as possible, you'll be surprised. There are really cool set pieces here, and the action is pretty damn good at points. The lead actress, Priya Kansara, is very, very good. I enjoyed her performance a lot. But then there are some choices, specifically in the second and third act of this movie, that I was kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't really work. But that's more of my opinion. It's a cool movie, and I hope this director, whose name escapes me, and I apologize for that, does something else. I would like to see what else she has up her sleeve. I'm giving this one 3 out of 5 hair pieces, but I am telling you to check it out. I am actually recommending it to you because I think it's a very interesting movie. I may have not fully connected to it, but I'm saying, give it a shot. And again, I'm going to give that one 3 hair pieces out of 5. Number 6 is The Covenant. And I appreciate Guy Ritchie. I really do. He jumps between, over a lot of different genres. We know him from Snatch and all those, criminal, witty British films. He did it in Aladdin, but of course he was probably very confined about how far he can push his own voice into that project since it was Disney. Here he gives the true story of an American soldier and a Middle Eastern translator who work together to try to take down a sector of the Taliban during the 2003 invasion of Iraq. While this movie is being sold as a vehicle for Jake Gyllenhaal, he is the main star here. It is Dar Salim who plays the translator, who surprised me. Not only because the performance is very good, but he is carrying this movie without Gyllenhaal. He's actually literally carrying Gyllenhaal in this movie. Check it out. Watch the movie to find out what that means. But he's carrying Gyllenhaal and the movie for about 30 to 45 minutes of this thing. And I was very impressed with him. He has presence, he has emotion, he has his own stakes within the story, which I won't spoil here. It is a basic war movie. It is a well-made one. It's nothing really that's going to change the genre, but I did really like the performances of Gyllenhaal and specifically Dar Salim. I'm hoping maybe Guy Ritchie gets these two and brings them into like one of his fun British action capers because I think they both would do hell of a job. But with this one, I'm going to give this one a very solid 3 out of 5 hair pieces. And this leads me to my final film. It isn't an amazing film. It's not one that's going to change the world, or you may completely disagree with me on this one. But it contains a performance by a beloved cinematic icon, and I had a hell of a time with this one. It is called The Machine. I am talking about Bert Kreischer. He is most famous for a stand-up routine called The Machine, which is the title of the film. In his story, when he was in college and he went over to Russia, he had a hell of a time. He got involved in a lot of criminal activity, and the Russians bestowed this name on him called The Machine. That is they take that story and kind of like expand it for this plot. And it is a total frat time. It is crude. It is just like it's a man movie. It's a dude movie. I'm not saying girls can't like it, but it's crude. It's disgusting. It's overly vulgar. But you know what? I had a hell of a time with it. There were a couple of times I laughed my ass off. Your love for this movie will be decide how you feel about Bert. I know who Bert is. I've seen a couple of stand-up routines with him. I listen to his podcast sometimes. My friend's a very big fan of his. I'm not a total fan, but I appreciate him, and maybe that mindset for me kind of like made me really like this movie. But let me tell you something. It is Mark Hamill who is worth watching this movie for. Mark Hamill can act, he can do voiceovers, he does the Joker and a lot of other ones, but he is so goddamn funny in this movie. I loved him. His energy is infectious. His charm is infectious. It just he's having a great time, and you can see it on the screen. And him and Bert have great chemistry. They play father and son who have kind of a complicated relationship. Again, if you are not a fan of Bert, don't even try it. But if you are a fan of Bert or interested in Bert, give it a shot because I did and I liked it. It tapped into my 13-year-old self. I think that a 13-year-old boy would probably think this was like the greatest movie ever made. And with that, I'm just going to say that I had a smile on my face the entire time with this film. And I'm going to give this one 3.5 out of 5 hair pieces. So, am I wrong? Do you disagree with every one of my reviews? Do you agree with some? What did you think of the movie Polite Society? I would love to hear some feedback on that below. Come to the site for the latest in movie reviews, TV reviews, video game reviews. Tune into our podcasts that we do every so often. And just come if you love film, come look around the site. It's always a good time. I'm going to be doing a review soon on Fool's Paradise, the new Charlie Day movie. I'm a big fan of Sunny. Did I like it? Did I hate it? Was I in between on it? Stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching, guys. And as they say on the site, I am Kevin Muller, and cheers.